Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well this Thursday morning. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. Link to that in the description below. You can also find it at the top of the chat. Join discussion, share ideas. If you're looking to see what other people are looking to trade, share your own ideas, I'm there as well. So if you are looking to join the community, make sure you check it out. Link in the description. But guys, welcome back to another stream. Himanshu, yes, we'll get onto CAD Yen. I'll go for the dollar side of things first, but I will go through the yen pairs and CAD Yen as well. What's up, Matt? Welcome to the stream. Good morning. Hope you're well. Ahmed, what is up? Hope you're doing good. Ahmed, number 2, what is up? Hope you're well. Dark Sean, welcome to the stream. GJ looking good for a sell, kind of resistance level on the 5-minute chart. Okay, I'll take a look. The M has been pretty bullish this morning. But yeah, I think pound yen, I haven't actually looked at pound yen, but I think we're still at the resistance, aren't we? But I will take a look on the lower time frames. What's up, Lighton? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Ross, good morning. Good morning. Hope you're good. Matt, Yempes, pick a direction, stick with it. Yeah, that would be helpful. That would be helpful. What's up, Sharif? Welcome to the stream. Yes, we'll take a look at pound USD. Bearish price 25,788. I'm looking at 1.2827, but we'll go through that as well. What's up, Mateke? Welcome to the stream. Alex, good morning. Okay, let me go through the dollar side of things. Then we'll go through the yen because it looks like a lot of people are interested there. But first things first, the dollar. So it looks like DXY has been bullish. I was favoring a bit of a move to the downside yesterday, but we didn't really see that. Price went and broke resistance. We had a pretty strong candle towards the end of the day, breaking to the upside there. And looks like this kind of bottom has kind of well and truly formed, and price is seeing some upside. So I'm no longer expecting a big sell here for the dollar. We might see some downside, but based on how we're moving, it probably is a move down just for us to keep pushing up. I'm still looking at price selling off, but it looks like that 104.5 level not really doing its job. We kind of broke above that yesterday. I know this morning we're back below that, but I'm waiting for the daily candle to close to really show me what price is doing, whether it was just a retest or price is likely to continue higher. As I've said, I've also looked at this level here, 105.5 roughly. That is an area which dollar could be slowly drifting towards before potentially seeing a move to the downside as well. Got some nice fib confluence in that area as well. So I am still pretty bearish on the dollar, looking for a continuation of that bearish move. But for now, I'm kind of in counter trend mode. I'm still expecting upside here for the DXY, maybe for the next few days. And then maybe when we get to 105.5, we can start talking about some sells. But I do think there is some more juice to squeeze to the upside here. So taking a looking at Euro USD, this one as well, seen some nice downside too. This one again, just about closed below this support level. So kind of invalidating it unless we do come back above it. And of course, tomorrow we can kind of judge that. But so far we did close below pretty aggressively yesterday. And I wonder how far euro will push down as well. Of course, if dollar is going to continue higher, then euro most likely will continue lower. And again, we do have some nice areas below us, 1.06 here, 1.055, both looking really, really good. In fact, I would like price to get there for some longs. We had a massive move to the upside that broke through these two areas. Didn't really get a retest, so if price can get there, there would normally be a strong chance of at least a bounce. We might not see a swing all the way back to the high. Depends how you want to manage your trade and where your targets want to be. But there is a good chance we do bounce from these areas, so they make good for entries, or at least locations for entries anyway. So keep an eye on these two levels here. We're still quite distance away. That might still take a few days to get there if we do. But yeah, I'm still looking for the longs for euro, but looking to see if we can invite potentially a deeper retracement. Pound USD likewise as well. This one's struggling at the high. You can kind of see losing all that momentum. Now price is kind of rounding off a little bit. So again, looking like prices forming around the top there. I've talked about pound USD pulling back into a couple areas, 1.28 being one of them, which is this swing high taken as support, and this high here as well, 1.27, prior resistance. Really strong break to the upside. Of course, there's a good chance this could act as support as well. So either one of those areas, keen to see a bounce from. Of course, at the moment, we are just hovering. Looks like we respected some support this morning. Pound's a little bit strong as well, but I'm not really interested in taking pound USD to the upside right now. To me, this looks like almost a range, to be honest. So kind of just staying away. But all that momentum there, I do think if we can kind of pull back into those areas, there's a good chance we could see a continuation of that. So still pretty bullish on pound USD. Just need a bit more retracement before I can start to intervene and possibly look for some long entries. Dollar CAD, still keep an eye on some downside for this one, although it's been pretty slow and looks like price is still finding it a little bit difficult to break through support here. We did kind of poke our noses underneath the level yesterday, but looks like it's kind of a weird retest or price is trying to climb back above. Whatever it is, it's just not clear. Again, when price gives us a break of a level, you expect price to continue that. If it does start to bleed back into the range and into the level, it's definitely a bit of a red flag that price. I'll say bear flag. It's a bit of a red flag that price is potentially maybe having a bit of a fake out, which maybe that is what's happening here with dollar CAD. This is a pretty strong level of support. It held price very well over here. We kind of broke below it, broke back above, and since then price has been respecting as support until yesterday. But looks like we're climbing back back above. So in terms of dollar CAD, I still do have a bearish bias, but I want price to really clear this level to give me a lot of confidence that the breakout is well and truly here and price is likely to head lower. Then I will start to look for some pullbacks. Because I'm still looking at 1.4-ish for a push for dollar CAD. In fact, if I expand to the weekly chart, you'll see that level a whole lot better. So as you can see here, just below 1.4 is kind of where I'm looking for dollar CAD to come into. So there's a lot of pips to catch there for dollar CAD if we were to see that move. But first things first, this support level needs to go, or at least if we are going to hold it, we need to push well away from it so I can find that next lower high and short it back down, and at least take profits at that level. So something like that still does interest me. But at the moment, still struggling to break through support, so not really interested in shorting dollar CAD. In terms of Aussie dollar, still finding a little bit of trouble trying to push higher. Again, as I said, with Aussie dollar at the start of the week, we may see a push back down into the swing low here in the next few days. We had a really strong level of resistance, which price has had a few attempts trying to break through, once over there, twice over there, and altogether hasn't really amounted to much. And of course, if the dollar is going to see some upside or continued upside, then that's going to be very difficult for Aussie dollar to push higher as well. So likely we might see a bit of downside there for Aussie dollar. In terms of shorts, I probably would wait to see if price can push back into resistance again before trying to take a sell. We've got one high there, second one there. Perhaps we put a third lower high before we do drop. Right now, kind of just sideways, moving sideways. So I'm not too sure about finding entries in this area. Looks a bit too congested for me. Altogether, Aussie dollar is pretty much ranging. If we are going to reverse, then I would like to see price break structure to the upside, clear the highs, here on the left, break structure to the upside, and then I'll talk about some pullbacks. That's what would interest me for some longs. But at the moment, we are not anywhere near that. So still looking for the range to continue and push back into support pretty much. And the USD, pretty much the same situation as well. This one respect to resistance pretty well last week too. Nice wick on the weekly chart. And again, we're still overall very, very corrective. If price does break the highs this week, I'll stand corrected and perhaps look for some longs for ends the USD if we do something like this. But at the moment, we're not. You can see in the weekly chart, big piercing wick to the upside last week as well, pull back as we aggressively reject that level. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we do roll over the next coming weeks and see a push right back into support again. Still a lot of momentum to the downside for NZUSD on the higher time frames. I wonder, is that wick there potentially a new top for us to keep selling off? At the moment, it looks likely, unless we do something like this for NZUSD, a strong break above the high, then I'll stand corrected. If not, kind of expect us to see a bit of a drop there in the next few days. So yeah, and again, if dollar's going to push to the upside as well, you're likely going to see a bearish move there for NZUSD. Now, in terms of gold, so gold, we did see a bit of, oh, wow. Damn, gold's flying. I didn't see that happen. Last time I looked at gold, we had this candle closure here. I did not see that happening. Anyway, gold looking very bullish. Looks like it's about to smash into highs. That's gold for you, I guess. You just blink and you miss it. I was talking a lot about the resistance here yesterday. I said if price can clear that, that's probably the green light for gold to buy. I said if you're looking to be aggressive, you probably can catch a nice breakout trade. I don't normally trade breakouts in my trading. I always normally wait for a retest before looking to buy or sell. But in gold situation and the context of the market, because of how bullish it is, taking breakouts, it's not such a bad idea because you just expect that momentum to continue. So we kind of had a breakout, probably argue with the previous candle over here, although it's a very slight breakout. So I wouldn't really look to trade that. This candle is nice because it wicks back into the zone and use it as support. So that would be kind of like a retest there. But if I drop to the hourly chart, yeah, so kind of like a quick break and retest. But yeah, gold's looking very bullish. What can I say at this point? Price is likely to smash back into highs, 30, 55, and maybe form some new highs. We do have the next big psychological level at 3,100, which is all the way up there. We kind of stalled around 30.50, so I wonder, is 3,100 our next target potentially? But yeah, looking very, very bullish in silver. I'm still currently long in this position here. This one's been a little bit slower than gold. Hopefully momentum starts to pick up. I did get into this one a little bit later. I entered on that 8-hour time frame on this candlestick here based off the breaking retest of the high there. I was originally looking for silver to come in retest 32.5, but I didn't look like it was happening, especially after all that rejection at the low. So I did hop into the trade here and seeing how price goes. If it does come back and stop me out and test the original level I wanted to buy from, I'll just look to re-enter. Yeah, so far, hopefully silver can pick up, especially with gold pushing to the upside now. Maybe that could be a bit of a catalyst for silver to get a move on. As I said yesterday, if we do take up the high here, that's when I'll start to manage the trade in terms of trading stops. But yeah, we'll see how silver goes. In terms of targets, I'm looking for 35, a new high past the high here. Is very much my expectation. I think silver can go a lot further than that, but I'll probably take most of my profit around 35 and just trail the rest and just see what silver can do. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the USD side of things for me. I'll go through some of the yen pairs. I'll take a look at pound yen for Dark Sean. I think CAD yen was requested earlier for Himanji. We'll go through CAD yen as well. Gold, US30 oil. Okay, we'll take a look. Alex, no problem. Ahmed, okay, I'll take a look at that pound USD idea, bearish price up to next week, 25,788. Okay, I'll have a look at that. Cease Integrated, what is up? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. DXY 105 or 105.5, in my honest opinion, slice through one. Yeah, it did slice 104.5 like butter. It did. It just absolutely smashed through that. So yeah, I think dollars like to keep pushing as well. It looks like it's formed a bit of a bottom as well. So I think it's got a solid base to push up higher. It's not like it's kind of had an aggressive sell and then kind of just slowly pushed up like this. Then I would be favoring a pretty strong drop pretty soon. But the way gold formed, it did have a big drop, but then it slowly correctively formed that bottom. Very nice double bottom there as well. and it's pushing up pretty nicely too. So could see a pretty nice move back to 105.5, which might mean some more strength for the next few days for dollar. Anyway, let's take a look at CAD Yen. Yeah, gold is absolutely ripping. That surprised me, Matt, because I was looking at gold probably about an hour ago, and it was still kind of just hovering around the prices here. So when I flick to gold and I see it shooting up there, caught me by surprise. But yeah, I guess that's what gold does. You blink and you miss it. You had a lot of consolidation, big breakout there, a few kind of smaller candles, and all of a sudden, boom, price absolutely obliterates that prior high. And yeah, that's just the type of situation gold's in right now. It's in a very strong uptrend. And to be honest, no real signs of slowing down. Of course, there's some smaller time frame pauses as you would expect, but in terms of the higher time frames, the trend is alive and kicking. Anyway, let's go through CAD Yen. So CAD Yen, it looks like the yen pair is a little bit strong, at least last time I checked. I need to be careful with that because the last time I checked, gold was a bit sideways and it's flying. Yeah, it looks like CAD Yen is still pretty bullish there. Again, I'm getting ready for a sell for CAD Yen. Excuse me. I'm looking for price to come a little bit higher. If I whip out the old fib from the high to the low, so anywhere between the 0.5, 0.618, even the 0.786, anywhere in here, I'm kind of looking for potentially a lower high to form. Again, there's a trend line here, which price may push into test as well. So we might even see a much deeper pullback. But anywhere in here, I think a lower high could form for CAD Yen. In the meantime, buys do look good. I think you said you're looking for a short-term play. Himanshu, where's your message? Okay, there it is. CAD Yen short-term buy from 105.27, TP 106. Yeah, I think that looks pretty likely, to be honest. 106 is roughly there, which is the territory I'm expecting price to go hit anyway. It's looking like we formed a lot of wicks here, and it is holding a support very, very well. I like that prior 4-hour candle closure on the last candle, and looks like the hourly momentum is picking up. Of course, we do have some resistance to look out for, but I do think 106 is likely to be hit anyway. So yeah, I do agree with that. I think yen basket is looking pretty bearish as well. So it looks like the yen basket has still a bit of weakness to offer, which means a bit more weakness for yen, which should help out your trade. Altogether, the move to the upside is pretty corrective. So that does give me the impression that eventually probably will go through a bit of a sell. So I would watch out for that. I wouldn't look for anything too crazy in terms of the buys. But like you said, if you're targeting 106, I think there's a good chance price gets there. Kind of lines up with that low there as well. So yeah, CAD Yen, I do like the sells there. Buys there, sorry. If I go to pound yen, Dark Trini spoke about some sells in the 5 minutes. Okay, I see what you mean. Price is back at resistance. So yeah, we could see some downside from that. I'm still pretty bullish from pound yen. I do think pound yen can at least get to 196, which is up there. Again, judging from a higher time frame perspective, we could easily go through quite a nice sell before 196. Doesn't have to be in a straight line. But it's just I do think price can go higher. But you're definitely right. Prices add some solid resistance, and if we can see a decent rejection of that, that could be a nice sell for potentially an hour or maybe two. Maybe come back to some of these prices. At the moment, we did close pretty bullish there, above the high. So I would wait for some rejection there. Of course, I know you normally wait for rejection before you do get into a trade anyway. But yeah, pound yen is at a nice area. Strong resistance on the left. If price does react to this, you can probably expect to see some downside. But yeah, judging that 4-hour candle, this 4-hour candle here and all those wicks to the downside here as well, I do think price is likely to break to the upside at some point. All of these wicks confirming a higher low and that momentum kicking back bullish tells me that pound yen probably will blast the upside at some point. Like I said, we could still react and pull back first, but I do think that resistance will break and probably will go to that 196 territory. I'm still looking at a big sell for pound yen, but we might still be pushing a little bit higher before that happens, and then we might get another sell from there. And that's kind of what I'm looking at for pound gem. I do think there's a big sell to be had with this one, but I just think slightly higher prices can be expected, especially with how momentum's looking on the 4-hour chart as well. But yeah, it's some nice resistance. If we can reject that, I do expect a bit of a drop, but I just wouldn't hang on to that position too long because I do think momentum in the higher time frames will probably eventually push us higher. Okay, so I'll take a look at that pound USD idea, Ahmed, and then we'll go through gold, US 30, oil. What's up, Ernesto? Welcome to the stream. I'm doing good. Hope you're well. Ahmed, do you think if pound USD breaks support 1.286 can reach the support price 1.2? Yeah, I'll have a look at that pound USD idea now. Okay, so you said if pound USD breaks support at 1.286, roughly here, can reach support price 25788. Oh, that's a pretty big move. 257. Oh, okay. I thought it was down there for some reason. Wait, no, it is down there. 25788. Yeah, around there. Not bang on, but looks like you're referencing this kind of low here. Possibly, possibly. I mean, essentially, I'm looking at this range here. So I'm focusing the level on basically the retest of the high, but essentially this is my area of interest for pound USD. My initial area of interest is 1.28, but if that doesn't hold, I'm looking at this consolidation. We spent a few days kind of moving sideways, and we had a really strong move to the upside, and that's where a lot of momentum came from. So I do think pound USD can possibly come back to that area again and react. Like I said, I'm kind of focusing my efforts on the high of the consolidation there. We might pull a little bit deeper, but more so there's a good chance we'll probably just hold at that level before continuing. But yeah, I do think there's a good chance price does come back to these areas. 1.28 could be a solid level of support as well. So I'm looking to see what we can do there. Possibly we might see price correct and continue. There's a lot of momentum to the upside here for pound. So I just wonder how big of a correction we'll see. Depends on the dollar as well. If dollar can get to 105.5, then yeah, maybe we do get to 1.27. But those are the two areas I'm looking at. Again, it's always very difficult to say a price will get here, we'll get there. We can analyze and give it our best guess. But a lot of trading is just reacting to what price is giving you. At the moment, we're quite corrective on the way down. So I think 1.28 could be a decent level of support. But yeah, if that doesn't hold, I'll look around the 1.27 mark, and 1.26 looks like a really nice level of demand as well too. So that could be a nice place to get involved. But yeah, I do think we can get to roughly those areas if that support doesn't hold. So yeah, essentially I would agree. Let's take a look at gold, US 30, and oil. So as I said with gold, just looking really bullish in terms of opportunities. Difficult to get involved really, unless you caught the breakout here. Then really nice trade. Next situation is to see what we do at the high here. You could probably look for a breakout there, but I probably wouldn't do that because, I mean, again, I don't know the future, but I do know that when we do take out major highs, you do tend to see a correction anyway. So unless you're looking to try and take advantage of a quick burst, that could be a nice trade, but we probably will pull back, if not even retest it as well for a long. So probably better off waiting for the retest because that probably will give you the bigger move anyway, and you can probably refine a stop loss a little bit better too. But of course, the break of that probably might give you a nice, maybe a few hours of upside as well. So that's something to look at. But at the moment, we're approaching resistance, so we'll see what price does. If we do break above it, then that could be the catalyst for a bit of a breakout there. I'll probably just wait for pullbacks afterwards in the lower time frames to buy gold. I still think this will be a nice level to buy gold as well if we were to pull back into that area. Not looking likely, but if we do, I think that's a solid place for a buy as well. And next big target, as I referenced, 3,100. That will be the next big psychological target for gold. Smash through 3K, smashed, well, in the process of potentially smashing 3050. If we can do that, then 3100 is the next point of call there. So yeah, pretty bullish on gold. Not much to do apart from either break. We tested the high, we pull back into 30.33. That could be a nice place for a long as well. US 30, last time I checked, was looking pretty bearish. Okay, we found a bit of support, pushed up a little bit. Haven't quite come back into that area yet to fill that gap. There's some nice confluence in this area here. We've got the first test, second test, potentially third. And of course, price is broken back above this swing low here as well. So I do like this area for a possible buy for US 30. Don't get me wrong, I'm still pretty bearish on this one. But I'm kind of looking at price pushing a little bit higher. Some solid resistance on the left there as well. Kind of looking around 43,300, 43,400 for some shorts for US 30 for continuation of this bearish move. At the moment, I think there's still some solid support below us, and that looks like a nice buy actually. So yeah, I'll wait for a push down. Buys around 42,100 look good. If we don't push down and we just keep pushing, then yeah, sells around there would be my best bet. But yeah, for now, I do think there's some upside. There's a gap here which price could look to go fill, and then use that as support to potentially spring to the upside as well. So I do like the upside opportunity there for US 30. In terms of oil, last time I looked at this one, we were looking pretty bullish, and more or less we still are. Again, with this one, we're coming away from very strong levels of support. So of course, you've got a massive level, taking that across, few rejections, nice shift to the upside. I think we've probably got a good chance of coming back into roughly around here, 71.50s or 71, you could say. At the moment, it looks like we are approaching some areas where we might pull back from. This was a pretty nice consolidation, gave us a pretty strong move to the downside there. So I would watch out some support time resistance there as well. But I would say if we can come back, retest some areas down here, that could be a solid place for a buy and another move to the upside as well. So dropping back to the 4-hour chart, I'd say around 68 looks like a decent buy. We've got a solid double bottom down there, one high low, perhaps the next one, and a continuation to the upside. But now we're in bearish territory, so if anything, there might be some sells on the lower time frames. But I still think there's a bit more retracement to be had for oil. Altogether, on the weekly chart, we're just squeezing between support and a pretty big trend line. So I'm just looking to see which one will give way first. At the moment, support holding pretty well. Maybe we push towards the trend line again and go for another swing back down. We'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, nice rejection of support. And I still do see a little bit more upside for this one. What's up, Chris? Hope you're good. I'm well. Good to see you as well. Welcome to the stream, my man. Dark Sean Nas 100. Okay, we'll take a look. I'm pretty sure this one had a bit of a sell, didn't it? Yeah, nice move to the downside, but it's testing some interesting areas where I do think we can bounce from. There's a nice gap there, solid resistance on the left, turning into support. I think this is a nice place for a buy. One low, second low, potentially a third. Might even kind of wick through that a little bit before we do spring to the upside, but I do think that's a nice place for a buy. Nas didn't quite get to the level which I'm looking for the sell from, which is this level here. Again, the market's not perfect. It doesn't have to particularly get to that level before selling off, but I would wait for a price to get there before looking for that swing short for Nas. So I still like the upside opportunity here for Nas. Market kind of slowly stepping to the upside. If we can get to there, that'd be fantastic. See how price reacts, and if things look good, could be a really nice short opportunity back to the swing low. But at the moment, we're kind of coming back into bullish territory. So I'd be looking at some longs here for Nas. Anything around 19,800, 19,700, filling that gap on the left, I think is a nice place for a buy. On the lower time frames, we're kind of just very flat right now, but let's say if we're to push back to the downside and spike the low, I think that would naturally be a nice place for a long, solid support down there. I think you'll be able to find a nice stop loss, nice entry, at least swing it back into resistance again. But I do think we can go a lot further than that. So yeah, I do like NAS here on the lower time frames. Nice little level of support, but I do think we can see some upside from that area. Probably a bit of trend line confluence as well, connecting the swing lows. We might spike into the trend line. That would be a nice confluence before pushing up. Lighton, sorry, Mr. Setter, what do you say about dollar CAD? Yeah, dollar CAD just a bit awkward right now, to be honest. Yeah, dollar CAD just awkward right now because I would still say it looks like it's holding on to support. I'm still bearish on dollar CAD. That's my take on the pair, judging from higher time frames. It was smashed into a massive weekly level over here, as we can see. So I do think dollar CAD is due a retracement. So that's the direction I'm looking to trade in. However, I need to find an opportunity to trade it, and a good one too. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. So dollar CAD, my take was either a push back into resistance, then a short, or we break to the downside and I look for pullbacks after that. At the moment, neither is happening. And at the moment, it looks like price had a bit of a fake to the downside. It looks like we're still holding on to support. So perhaps there even could be some short-term buys at play here for dollar CAD, especially if the DXY does continue to push to the upside. If we do see some more upside there for the dollar, then yeah, we're probably going to see dollar CAD push up as well. Of course, CAD will have its say. But yeah, at the moment, looks like support is holding. I think stops below that low, actually a nice place for a stop loss, and you might catch a nice reaction. I'm already too interested with the long, so I'm not really looking for a buy because I think the bigger move is to the downside. So I'm just going to focus my efforts there. But these are the areas I'm looking for selling opportunities. So see if we pull back into the high or we have a break and retest. At the moment, still support is holding, so we might see a bit of a bounce there. But not as interested in that opportunity just yet. But anyway, I'll go through the rest of the yen pairs. First, I'll take a look at the yen basket because that holds a lot of information for the yen itself. And as we can see right now, things are not looking too hot. Looking pretty bearish with that candle. This candle's still got a long time before it closes, so it's always a little bit tricky taking in information from a candle that's still live because yes, we're looking pretty bearish with this candle here, but by the time it closes, we might pull back and respect support, and that even could flip bullish as well. So you don't want to take too much information from a live candle. I like to always base my judgment, my decisions on closed candles, because at least I can see what that candle represents. I don't want to be basing off a bearish candle that later turns bullish. You know, it kind of defeats the purpose there a little bit. But yeah, we are looking pretty bearish here. Anyway, I've been looking for dollar CAD to drop a little bit further. I'm looking around 6,500. I've talked about solid resistance on the left here, which is now well, the price did break through, held as support for a few days, but we did climb back below, and we had a pretty solid rejection a few days ago, and it looks like we're probably seeing a continuation of that. So I do think we'll see a bit of a drop. We've got support around here that I think price can maneuver into. Like I said, around 6,500. There is a trend line here connecting the swing lows. I wonder potentially price will go and take that out as well. But yeah, I do still see yen falling. And if the yen falls, if the yen basket does fall to these prices, you're going to see the yen pairs rise as well. So going on to pairs like dollar yen. Again, for this one, I've talked about more retracement for USD JPY. I said we've climbed back above this swing low here as well. Major support we did break through, but we did it very, very correctively. So it wasn't anything spectacular. Of course, we climbed back above and looks like we're seeing a bit of a reaction to the upside now. If I whip out the fib from the swing high to the low, again, at least looking for a push into the 50. As I drop to the 4-hour chart, yeah, it just looks like price is just pushing to the upside here. We've got some resistance to contend with. So again, we can definitely reject that level. I think naturally price does have room to the upside. We might see some lower time frame pullbacks, but I do think the bigger move here for dollar yen is to see more upside. 152, 152.5 we could be talking about for dollar yen. So, and again, for this one, I'm still very bearish on. I do think price can get eventually all the way back to the low there as well. But I just have to make sure I'm being patient, not jumping into the trade too early, especially when we're kind of coming to a bullish phase. The way I'm looking at this kind of looks like a inverse head and shoulder to a degree, which again is a reversal pattern. So we might see price push on for a while before turning, and then that's when I want to get into the trade. So yeah, dollar yen looking pretty bullish to me. If we have a look at Aussie yen and New Zealand yen. So Aussie yen, this one again, very corrective as we dropped to the downside, but then we formed a bit of a double bottom over here. So price held really well. First test, second test. Then we broke to the upside, taking out structure here. And then we came back to test this area. It held pretty well. And now it looks like we're seeing some upside. So dollar yen in my book, Aussie yen in my book, sorry. Looks like that's pushing to the upside too. I still do expect this wick low to be taken out. But it looks like we're in kind of retracement mode right now. So just kind of staying patient. But if I draw a fib from the swing high to the swing low, that 0.5, 0.618 area looks very interesting. Again, altogether, we are still pretty corrective on the way up. It's not like we're steamrolling to the upside. So I wouldn't say I'm expecting a big reversal. It just, we might correct ourselves a little bit further before maybe having a big sell. But at the moment, still looking pretty bullish. New Zealand yen, this one looking pretty bullish as well. If I go to the daily chart, again, solid resistance holding as support here. Well, was acting as support previously over here on the left. Flipped as resistance, gave us a nice double bottom down here. Then price broke to the upside, came back for a retest. Lovely wicks to the downside, and now looks like we're trying to see the continuation of that. Again, at least back into resistance there. But again, if I whip out the fib for this one, I do think there's a bit of upside to be had. I do feel like we can at least get back to areas like so, and that can give a nice little move before maybe speak on some sells again. But it depends on how we move and how we get there, because it could even be a reversal for a really big move to the upside as well. Let's not forget that. But yeah, the yen pairs are looking pretty bullish to me, so being very cautious about selling them. And as I look at them now in the lower time frames, it means it's a pretty corrective move. So it's not like we're flying, although that was a nice impulse there. And if I take a look at CHF JPY as well, looking pretty bullish this morning. Again, this one I do feel like we're going to break to the upside, but again, I'm still very, very keen on sells for CHF JPY. We've just got solid support here, which looks like price is reacting from. So again, not trying to sell a little bit too early. I want price to push away from resistance, go find some more sellers. And that's the territory I want to be looking to sell in. We've got one high there, second high over there, third. Can we find a fourth somewhere? I'm looking at resistance around here on the left. Might go further than that, to be honest. There's a trend line here. I wonder if you can go spike into that as well. And that could be a nice place to short Swiss yen from. Go back to the daily chart. Again, the way I see it is that we've had a lovely range here. Price broke to the upside, retested. Now seeing upside from that momentum. And looking at the 4-hour chart, we found a lot of support here as well. A lot of wicks to the downside. Strong close in that prior 4-hour candle. So probably likely to push back into resistance now. But I do think we can go a bit further. I don't see us testing that resistance and just selling off. I think we're likely to break through the high. So yeah, CHF JPY looking pretty bullish as well. So Aussie yen, New Zealand yen, CAD yen. Did I mention CAD yen? I think I did. Yeah, CAD looks like that's likely to keep pushing as well. Again, I'm still getting ready for these sells, but in the meantime, it does look like there's still upside at play. And of course, you got your lovely euro yen, which is what I was saying last week. I did decide to close this trade a little bit early because I was anticipating some weakness for the yen to come in, which looks like it's been a good decision so far. We did come into a nice level. We did see a healthy rejection, but judging the yen, it didn't look like yen was quite ready to see the strength that I'm looking for. And it's looking like we're finding support here as well in the 4-hour chart. I wonder if we'll now push the upside here, possibly back into resistance there too. So it looks like euro yen might see another push to the upside as well. But don't get me wrong, if we get back to that high and see a solid rejection, I may look to just jump right back in because my expectation is still support there to break. And we're still in that vicinity for a lower high. But yeah, it just doesn't look like it's quite ready yet to short. But if we push back into the high, see some rejection there, perhaps a nice little double top, that can end up being a really nice sell with a good risk to reward. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the yen pairs. Gideon, Aussie CAD, short entry, 0.9, okay. Currently not happy with how support is rounding on the 4 hour. If it breaks resistance at 0.9299, should I close the trade? Okay, I'll have a look at that. I'm actually pretty bearish on Aussie CAD as well. I'm looking to short it, but it hasn't got to my level just yet. Okay, so you got a entry 0.90964. Wait, 0.90964. Okay, so you're in a quite decent amount of profit there. 0.964. That's around there ish. Stop loss 0.91345. Okay, that's around there. And your take profit is 0.89, sorry, 0.89014. 89014. So pretty much 0.89. So yeah, really nice trade there actually. Really nice trade. Nice entry, stop loss, risk towards looking pretty good. That's probably like a 1 to 4 at least. Yeah, like 4.8 something, 8.9 something like that. So looking really good. The position is really good. I see what you mean though in terms of how it's kind of rounding at support. I mean, first thing I would do is probably try my stop loss to break even. You've already caught a really nice swing to the downside, which is, this impulsive move here. You've already caught that move. You don't want price to now come back to your entry and be in drawdown again, and then potentially even take a loss on that position. You've already done the hard work capitalizing on that swing. You kind of want to protect your downside now. So I would move that stop loss to break even. And of course, worst case scenario, let's say if it does take you at break even, can always look for re-entries. Again, break even is not a magical thing. It just protects that downside, especially when the market's already gone in your favor. In terms of the targets, I think pretty reasonable as well. You're looking for a big swing. You're looking for price to return into support here on the left. So you're looking for a decent swing. And of course, on the left here, we do have an important higher low. This swing low is what gave us this swing to the upside. So that's probably why we're having such a tough time trying to break through this price, because it potentially could induce another higher low and a push higher. To be honest, it depends how you want to manage the trade. It depends how you want to manage the trade. If it breaks 0.9029 resistance, okay, so that's practically that level there. If it breaks that, you want to close. Now, Aussie CAD is a very choppy pair, so it could easily break resistance just to break back below it. What I would do is I'll probably close some positions because I've already caught a nice swing there. Close some positions. Again, in terms of how much, that's completely up to you. You can close majority, you can close half, you can close 20%. But close something, and then I'll probably just hold back to 0.89. Because you're definitely right, price is starting to round off a little bit, and we are respecting a higher low, a previous higher low, and potentially we could see another higher low that does take out your trade. So I do agree with you, but I would just probably book profits and let that kind of overall trend and that overall TP play out, because you had the target there for a reason, so I'll try and respect that. But based on how price is moving, you could lock in some gains just in case. I don't like closing trades too early unless there's a good chance price is just going to come back to my entry. I think with your entry all the way up there, even if price does break through the level, you still got a bit of room for price to kind of play around, maybe even test some levels up here before potentially continuing in your direction. If your entry was just above the high, then yeah, maybe you could just close the trade altogether, but you've still got a lot of room to work with. So I'll let the trade breathe, close some profits, and I'll leave it run to my overall take profit. That way, worst case scenario, you still walk away for small win, and if it does hit you take profit, you're still there to take advantage of it. So yeah, that's how I would tackle it. But really nice position though. I'm pretty bearish on Aussie CAD as well, but I was looking to see 0.906, sorry. And I'm also looking at NZD CAD as well. Yes, we'll take a look at NZD USD, Forex Trading, no problem. Gold is flying, yeah, gold is flying. LFTJ, we had a look at gold this morning, and it is absolutely going crazy. Gold, it is absolutely flying. So the highs again. So let's see if it can break that. If it does, maybe 3100s our next target. Okay, so I'm gonna go to NZD USD. So yeah, for NZD USD, because price is still respecting resistance pretty well. This is the weekly chart. We had a big piercing wick to the upside last week. This was last week's candle. Big piercing wick to the upside through that zone there, rejecting it pretty well. I mean, pull back, close bearish underneath resistance there on the lower time frame. So the way I see NZD is a very choppy market, and it might just be a correction for price to potentially continue back into support again. The way I see it, price is kind of stuck between support and resistance and just moving sideways essentially. As long as we maintain resistance, we're probably likely to swing back into support. If, of course, we see something like this, then I'll stand corrected. And at that point, we've already got a bullish NZD USD and a bit of a reversal on our hands. And then I'll look for pullbacks and more buying opportunities. At the moment, that level is holding pretty well. So I've said for NZD USD, I'm kind of looking for a bit of a pullback and some shorts, as long as that high can hold. A bit like a head and shoulder pattern there. You got your left head and then right shoulder. And looking for us to sell off. So I do have a bit of a bearish bias, at least for now, for NZD USD back into support around 0.56. Dollar, I'm looking for a bit of a push to the upside as well. So because of that, I'm expecting more strength for USD, and that should mean more weakness for NZD USD. Of course, NZD itself will have its part to play, but if dollar's strong, it's definitely going to make it difficult for us to see a bullish NZD USD anyway. So can I not type? What's going on? And NZD USD, there we go. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for NZD USD. Personally, it does look pretty bearish to me. So yeah, I would avoid buys just yet. But if we can break to the upside like so, then yeah, I'll look to follow that momentum. Um, not gonna ask you. These are no movement at all. Yeah, it's been pretty flat. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it will have its day when it has decent momentum, but yeah, it hasn't changed much, has it? Darker Sean looks like we're going to see 196 on GJ today, 80 pips away. GJ does not look like it's slowing down. Is it breaking to the upside? Yeah, it's looking pretty bullish there. So yeah, 196. I do think we can get there before maybe we start to slow down again. There is some supply, trend line resistance around that area. Altogether, the move has been very corrective for pound yen. It's not like we kind of just zoom to the upside. So because of that as well, I do think we're likely to start to struggle around probably 195.5, 196, maybe even 197 before we do see a pretty big sell. But yeah, it's looking pretty bullish on the lower time frames. We really did find support there, and that last 4-hour candle did close with a lot of momentum. So I do think we're likely just to rip past that high there, especially with the yen basket looking pretty weak as well. If this can keep it up, then it's always going to be difficult for pound yen to go against that. But we'll see how that closes. It's still got 2 hours to go before it does close, and could very much pull back and respect it as support, which could make things interesting for pound yen. But I do think at some point we're likely to break through and come back and test 6,500s. You are interested in dollar CAD buys, though. Yeah, it's that support. It's also holding pretty well. So I do think dollar CAD buys make a lot of sense. I'm also at least short-term bullish on the USD as well. And as we can see, if we scoot to the daily chart, price is still holding support pretty well. On the lower time frames, we did get price closing below in the 4-hour chart. But if we scoot to the daily, you can see it just left a big wick. So to me, it looks like price is still holding support. And if so, you could potentially give a nice push to the upside there. So I think buys look really good there for the dollar. I'm not looking for anything crazy. I feel like if you can get it back into the high here on the left, that's a solid trade in itself. Of course, there's resistance above us as well there. You can always leave positions to run to extended targets, but a push back to 1.43869 roughly. I think that makes a load of sense, and a stop loss underneath that wick low there looks like a really nice place for it as well. So yeah, I do like dollar CAD buys as well. I'm still pretty short biased in the pair. I'm looking for that swing, but now's not the time to be looking to sell the market. Still respecting support. Nice fake out in the lower time frames as well. So that could easily be a catalyst to push dollar CAD higher. So I would be very, very cautious of that happening. And yeah, we have seen a lot of CAD strength recently as well, but maybe we might be going for a bit of a breather. EuroCAD, PoundCAD all had really big sells. So EuroCAD been melting to the downside. I still think we've got further to go. I'm looking at personally around this area, 1.52. PoundCAD as well. I do think we can see lower prices for that one as well. I'm looking at a push back into resistance here, which is at 1.815. I do think price can get there too. At the moment, it's looking pretty bullish. At least for the day's candle as well. Already engulfing the previous candle. We still got 9 hours, 10 hours left, but already looking pretty bullish. Yeah, I'll be expecting us to sell off again. So as we start to approach some areas like such, I'll be looking for another lower high for us to come straight back down again. Just continue these price swing highs and get another drop. EuroCAD's a bit more tricky because the pullbacks aren't as prominent, but I still do like the sells. There's a nice range over here. I think that's a nice place for a sell, especially if you can drop to like the 50-minute chart. I'm personally still waiting for the longs at these levels. I'm not looking to swing it back to the highs though. I can tell EuroCAD and PoundCAD are a little bit tired, so I'm not going to try and swing it back to these highs up here. Normally, I would look to target swing highs, swing lows, and just trend continuations. But when the market's pretty tired, I probably won't try not to be too greedy and take a swing all the way to resistance. But bounce off that level, I do think looks worthwhile. If I head over to pound CAD, bounce off that level too looks pretty worthwhile as well. So I'm going to kind of wait to see if price can pull back to those areas. But CAD pairs which I'm interested in, like I said, New Zealand CAD and Aussie CAD. New Zealand CAD in particular, I do like the sales for a lot. I'm looking for a big push into support here. The way I see it, price is broken through some structure on the left. Lovely swing to the downside. And now I'm looking at this being the first major lower high in comparison to the high over there. Of course, there's your low after the break of structure. Now I'm looking for that lower high to give us a swing to the downside. Dropping to the 4-hour chart, there's two setups I'm looking at. Either the retest of the high at 0.832 or the retest of this high at 0.822. I'm not going to be looking for the retest of the high just yet. The way I see it, price has had a breakout, but it hasn't been with enough momentum for me to look for a retest. It also hasn't cleared it by enough distance as well. Distance is pretty important. Of course, distance will depend on the context of the market and the time frames as well. So it's not like a certain pip value which I'll look to, but we haven't cleared it by enough distance. So essentially, the breakout hasn't given me enough confidence that we're likely to retest and continue. So I'm kind of hoping for NZD-CAD to have another drop. Doesn't have to be as big as that, but just more momentum, clear the level by a bigger distance, and that will increase the chances of a likely retest and a continuation. If we don't get that, like I said, I'll look for kind of a double top back at the high, safe place for a stop loss, and a great place for an entry as well. So I'll look at both of these opportunities. And for both of them, the swings are looking very, very generous in terms of the targets. Now, again, I probably won't hold the full position all the way there. I'm not normally looking for 1 to 12s or 1 to 9s like that. My average risk reward is probably between 2 and 3 R. That's kind of where I take most of my profit in that kind of bracket. But I will look to hold longer, sometimes 1 to 6s, sometimes 1 to 10s even. I will look to trail remaining positions to those bigger targets if it makes sense to do so, like my Aussie CHF trade, and kind of like silver as well. If that can get to my target, I'll take most of my profit around 35, but I'll trail stops for that one. I don't really have a target for silver, so I'm just going to trail just the trail really. But I like to try and maximize my winners as much as possible. So I take my profit at my targets, which I think there's a realistic chance price can get to. And then I'll have probably extended targets where I feel like price can get there, certainly if the higher time frame trend continues. So I'll bet on that as well. But that could be like 1 to 5, 1 to 6, 1 to 7. So I wouldn't hold a full position there. Otherwise, there'll be quite a lot of break evens I would experience. And yeah, it'll be difficult to bank profit consistently. But yeah, for NZD-CAD, I'll probably look at some lows on the left in the 4-hour chart to bank profit. So for example, if we do push up back into the high there, then of course this low will be something to look at in terms of banking profit. That could be a nice place to do that. And then I might leave the remaining to run. It does depend on how everything sets up. So it's not concrete yet. But in terms of levels I want to trade from, those are definitely two of them. Now I just need to wait for price to maneuver itself and set up well. And of course, Aussie CAD, I'm looking at something similar too. Price is doing a good job holding resistance on the left over here. although it has broken above it a couple times. But if I expand to the weekly, it looks a little bit more digestible here. Resistance on the left, held once, support, now resistance again. If that can stay true, there's a pretty big move to be had. So let me just get rid of these lines. So again, for Aussie CAD, looking to see if we can pull back into that area, respect it, perhaps see another lower high and a continuation. And then, of course, targets will be back at the prior low. So Aussie CAD I like. It's just really, really corrective. You can see how price is moving here on the left, just very up and down, which is, it makes it difficult to find really refined entries and kind of maximize that risk to reward. Because if you have a top loss, if you have a stop loss that's too tight, the chance of you getting wicked out on a random candle is just extremely high, especially in conditions like this. Not smooth at all. Price action is very choppy. So you have to take that into consideration when you do take your positions. You know, what is the nature of the market? Are we very choppy? Are we seeing wicks a lot? Or is the market pretty smooth, seeing a lot of momentum and not really consolidating too much? Then you can take that into your plans as well. But Aussie CAD is a very choppy pair right now. So I'll probably wait for a few rejections before getting in and give myself an extra bit of room as well, just in case the price fluctuates against me. But yeah, something like that I'll be looking for, at least for maneuver back into support around 0.895, and we'll go from there. So yeah, pretty bearish on Aussie CAD as well. Taking a look at some of the crosses, I think these guys had a bit of retracement, but they've found a bit of support. So Euro Aussie, I still do expect a lot more downside for Euro Aussie as well. I might keep an eye out for some sells if it looks good. At the moment, not really interested in this pair, but I'll keep an eye. Expecting again, as I mentioned yesterday, we've taken out some major highs on the left. Normally what happens after that, price spikes up and then turns around. So again, huge move, create a high, and now expecting price to retrace, just like we did here. I mean, over here we just have a big wick, but it's the same principle of taking out a major high and then turning around pretty sharpish afterwards. Likewise here as well. I do think we're about to turn around here too. So if I drop to the 4-hour time frame, since we have cleared the lows here, we might now be seeing a bit of a pullback for the next lower high before we do continue. So I would definitely watch out for that. If we can pull back into 1.72, that's where I probably will consider some shorts, basically looking to continue these lower highs. Something like that. Again, at least a short back into the low, but I do think we can come a lot further than that. I do think we can see a drop all the way there, but again, probably won't hold the full position that far. In terms of pound Aussie, I'm pretty bearish on this one as well. Respecting the high pretty well, and I do think we can at least come back and test the prior high here, which is prior resistance will be turned support here at 2.025. I do still see us getting there. I mean, we are coming into some supply here on the left. That might be a nice place for a short. But to be honest, I feel like if you're trying to get short in here, it's always gonna be a little bit more difficult because it's still counter trend, and your stop loss is not really above a secure place right now. So it's always gonna be a bit more vulnerable, a bit more difficult of a trade. But I do expect us to retrace still. Chris, if I may ask from experience, which Forex pair do you think is the everyday go-to pair for day trading? Probably say Euro USD. Can't go wrong with Euro USD really. good spreads, no erratic behavior, pretty sensible price action. Um, Most traded asset, so the price action is going to be at its purest over there. Good conditions, and still gives you pretty big moves from time to time as well. So um, yeah, the moves you're looking for pretty consistent and enough to make good returns as well. So yeah, I think Euro USD is a good pair for that. It's pretty sensible. I would also say pound yen's pretty good as well if you can manage that. Bit more aggressive, a lot more pips involved, and it might be a little bit more tricky to maneuver with, but it can give you very big moves, and you can have pretty good risk rewards there. For example, Euro USD, you might be good averaging like 1 to 2s maybe, whereas pound yen, you can probably put the same amount of effort in terms of the analysis and the moves, but you can probably average a greater risk reward just because it swings a little bit bigger. Of course, it depends on the time frames, depends on how you trade it, but most of the time you can probably squeeze a little bit more out of pound yen than Euro USD just because the swings are bigger, the swings are bigger and it moves quicker as well. So I would say pound yen's good as well, but Euro USD is great. I'll say those two are good. Pound USD is good as well. Yeah, I'll say Euro USD, pound yen, but you can't go wrong with euro. Kingsley, what is up? I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you. Hope you're well too. Good to see you as always. Can you please give your opinion on USDR, Euro Pound, and Pound Yen? Okay, we'll have a look as well. Kiraki, Euro Yen, no problem. We'll have a look. C2. Okay, so we'll go through USDR. Apparently, this one hasn't moved much according to Lighten. Let us see. Yeah, it hasn't moved much at all. But yeah, USDR, I'm still looking for shorts off this level here, which is 18.3 roughly. Yeah, just above 18.3. That's still my kind of area of interest for USDR. The way I see it, price has been pretty consistent with these lower highs. We've got one over there, second, third, fourth, and potentially a fifth is brewing up as well. So that is basically the plan here with USDR, because the market is kind of just moving very steadily in this bearish channel here as well, now approaching some resistance. Not quite the trend line as well, but into that kind of bearish territory where we can see another drop and another swing to the downside. So I am pretty bearish here with USDR, and that is a pretty solid level of support, which is now going to be flipped to resistance. You can see how many times we respected it. The fact is we didn't really respect it much over there, so I do think now we might see price come back and truly respect that level, and it will give you a nice sell. Most likely, of course, wait for rejection, not just jumping straight in. And also judging how price is moving, it's very, very corrective as well. So it tells me that there's probably a good chance for a bit of a sell-off as well. So yeah, 18.3 looks pretty good to me. Again, higher time frames, it looks like price might have just been putting in a major lower high as well. We've got one over there, second, third, and potentially fourth as well. So even from a daily perspective, we might be seeing price swing back into lows and maybe further as well. So yeah, pretty bearish on USDR. Expecting a lot more downside. But first, I'd wait for one little push higher, at least back into 18.3 before you start to look for any entries to take price to the downside. Euro pound. Euro pound. So this one's still respecting some support down here. I am actually still pretty bullish on euro pound. I do think price can eventually get back to 0.85, which is some resistance in this area here. So I do still think we can push back into that level there. However, I just don't really have a clear-cut opportunity to trade that. The reason why I'm pretty bullish and expecting that move is because when I look to the left and higher time frames, you reached a pretty powerful level of support which of course did start this massive move to the upside, and we're back there again. And judging from the weekly time frame, it looks like we're forming a bit of a double bottom. Respected it once, respected it twice. So in that case, I do think price can break higher. So yeah, to me, I was about to use these are again. Euro pound looks like it's forming a bit of support. Now it could of course come back and retest support again. Doesn't have to turn around straight away. But I do think the bigger move is the upside. So I'm getting ready for buys for Euro pound. But as I just said, I don't really have a clear cut level to buy it from. So I'm being very, very patient. I do like this level here, but I wouldn't be looking to swing it all the way back to 0.85 from there. Judging how we're moving right now, it is looking pretty corrective to me. So it does tell me that most likely price is just coming lower, just to move back up again. So yeah, I would wait for us to push a little bit lower for Euro pound. I do like the level here. Nice move to the downside, and we broke through really aggressively. We didn't come back for a retest. So I do think we can bounce from here. I wouldn't be looking to target all the way to 0.85. That's like a long-term swing target. You can hold some positions to run there. But I would definitely look to secure some profit in between then and that target 0.85. And in terms of pound yen, things are looking pretty bullish for pound yen here, breaking to the upside. We formed a lot of support there the past kind of 24 hours, and looks like price is now kind of seeing a continuation from that. I'm still pretty bearish on pound yen. However, I'm still looking to take price down. We've got one major high, second one, kind of looking at a third one in this kind of area. But I do think we'll probably see a bit more upside first as we push into 186, maybe 187, before potentially we do see price come back down again. So I am pretty bearish long term, but pretty bullish short term. So it depends kind of what horizon you're looking at. You're looking for a short term play on pound yen. In that case, you might see a nice breaking retest of this level here on the lower time frames. If you're looking to short, well, going to have to be a bit patient. That might last, and that might take a few days to actually pan out before we do get price to push down, because we are still really corrective on the way up here. We are really corrective, so I do think eventually we'll see that swing. But at the moment, it is not ready for the sells yet. And if anything, there could be nice short-term breakouts on the break and retest. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with pound yen. Okay, I'll take a look at euro yen next. Lights and USDs is ranging, and the spread is a kicker. I bet it is. But to be honest, if you're stuck in a short, you will get some nice swaps, positive swaps. So, I mean, depends what you're looking for. But if you're holding a short over a period of days, the swaps will add up. But you would have to make sure you're entering at good times when the spread's kind of at its lowest, and make sure you're probably removing your stop loss at night, because when the daily candle opens and one closes, the spreads will widen, and you could be looking at some very, very wide stop losses on USD, very wide spreads on USDR, which could easily trigger your stop loss. So you need to be careful of that. But yeah, spreads are a kicker. Yeah, that's another reason why I stopped trading exotics as well. Spreads are quite wide. Swaps are crazy. I would only probably look to sell the exotic currencies, or at least trade in the direction of of positive swaps, because the negative swaps are just too heavy. And they're quite slow as well. They're not that fast. They do have their times where they do see some nice moves, don't get me wrong, but they do consolidate quite a lot as well. So that's why I stopped trading exotics. But there are opportunities there. I'm not going to say that there aren't. Okay, let me take a look at Euro Yen. Excuse me. So Euro Yen, I am again still long-term bearish on this one as well, similar to pound yen. Excuse me. My throat's playing up. So yeah, euro yen, I'm still pretty bearish on. However, it doesn't look like it's quite ready yet to be sold. Dropping to the 4-hour chart, there's some resistance on the left here, which looks like price is respecting. But the way I see it right now is that price is still finding support and still just about squeezing in these high lows. So in my book, I'm kind of looking for price to push up again for euro yen back into 163.8. And then potentially you might see some sells from there as well, because the high lows are still very consistent. Until we start breaking through them, it's hard for me to justify a sell. So yeah, euro yen overall very corrective on the way up. So I don't expect this move to last too long before we do turn around. We might kind of just stab the high one more time and then drop. So that's kind of what I'm waiting to see if price can do. But yeah, really solid support this morning slash yesterday. Really solid support there. We fired a lot of wicks here on the 4-hour chart. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a really solid close this morning as well. So yeah, I do think price can probably rocket into the level, probably even break through. And that might give some nice short-term buys in the lower time frames back into resistance. But I do think the bigger move is the swing lower. We just have to wait for price to set that up. But yeah, if you're looking for some buys, nice break and retest above the high there, I feel like it could give a nice little trade. But yeah, I think the yen boss at school, the yen boss still got some room to the downside. So I'd be careful. That's the wrong one. I'll be careful about selling the yen pairs. Because I do think this support will break. So yeah, being careful with the yen pairs. No problem, Kingsley. Happy to help. But we could definitely break through that level. Of course, we haven't broken it through it yet. Things can change, but I'm struggling to see us turn around from there. Philip, morning. Hope you're well. Sorry for this, but any chance to look at pound NZD? Yes, I haven't. Well, I've grazed through pound NZD. Actually, no, I don't think I've looked at it actually. But yeah, we'll definitely take a look at pound NZD. So pound NZD looked like it had a nice rejection yesterday. Looks like it's holding onto some resistance here, which is acting as support at the moment. Really nice turnaround there because price was looking really bearish yesterday, but then we formed a few wicks, closed pretty strongly, and price had a nice move to the upside. However, I wouldn't necessarily be looking for a swing back to the high now, just because there's a lot of resistance in our way. We had this big consolidation here, which spat out a lot of momentum to the downside, and now price is coming back into that same area. There's a decent chance that price can push into that, and we might even sell back into the same area again. So it depends what you're looking at for pound entity. It depends what your kind of time frames you're working on. Okay, you're taking a short, so I suppose you're probably working the lower time frames then, Philip. Probably trying to catch some shorts around here, which make perfect sense. A lot of momentum to the downside yesterday. We're coming back to retest that range there. So I think shorts look good. If you can get stop loss and you're somewhere above the highs here, you're in a healthy place because your expectation is that this level is going to hold for another drop. And yeah, targets back down there, I think make a lot of sense. I mean, that's a big level on the daily chart, as we just pointed out. So I wouldn't try and push past that. We could, of course, sell off to the low here, but I would suggest booking some profits down there first before trying to hold further. But yeah, pound NZD looks pretty good for a short. I'll probably wait to see if we can push back up again into resistance and then reject it again because we've been very sluggish here. So I like to see kind of a push before a sell. But yeah, as long as we can hold 2.252, you're in a good place for a short. If, of course, this level clears, then the expectation will be a push back to the high. And again, let's not forget the overall trend of the market is still very bullish too. So if you are taking shorts, you are technically going counter trend, and you don't want to spend too much time going counter trend. The longer you kind of hold a trade that's counter trend, the more exposed you are to price potentially turning around against you. Most of the time, I want to keep it short and sweet. Of course, sometimes you can be a bit more aggressive, but I'll watch out. Reginald, okay, Euro USD, sure, we will take a look at that as well. No problem. Karaki, happy to help. Yes, 2.24. Okay, so roughly that area. Okay, no problem. Yeah, so yeah, I would probably look to see if I can get the trade swing it back into support here. Stops above the high look make a lot of sense, and targets around there make a lot of sense as well. We could possibly come back to the swing low, but like I said, I'll be a bit careful with that. Still counter trend, and price might not be done with that bullish trend just yet. In terms of Euro USD, so for this one, I'm looking at more downside. I've got some areas around 1.06 and also 1.05, which I'm waiting for price to come into before perhaps looking for some longs. Well, I will be looking for some longs, but I need some entries there, so I won't be jumping straight in. But those are the locations where I'm looking to try and see if I can base some trades from. The Wisman support here on 1.077 didn't really hold, so I wasn't really looking to buy. Also, the way price kind of pulled back, it wasn't looking that great either. So I have kind of stayed away. But if we can get to those prices, though, I will be looking to buy. Because for the dollar, DXY, I'm looking at pretty much the opposite of that, which is pull back into this area. Oh, didn't need to do that. Pull back into this area and then a short back down. So looking at, in theory, the same move, of course, in just opposite directions. But I just want to see a bit more of a pullback from euro, a bit more of a pullback from the dollar, and then hopefully find some longs. But yeah, overall, very bullish. And then targets naturally back at the swing high, back to where we came from. I do think we can go further as well, but we'll save that story for another day. As long as we can get back to there, that's a really nice swing. But you can see how corrected we are as well, which might mean we do see a bit of a push to the upside. But we're not really trading at any area of confluence or any significant area, so I would hold out that thought for now. I forgot to take a look at dollar CHF as well. And the USD pairs is still consolidating. Yeah, dollar CHF has been very, very slow. It's been stuck in this range for a while. And in fairness, it's in a range in the higher time frames too, so it's not the most appealing pair. I wonder, are we forming a bit of a bottom here, or is price still going to see a swing back into the low end of the range? We've had 3 really strong rejections here. 1, 2, 3. Do we see price go and make a third at the low here? We've got 1, 2. I think a third is a pretty good chance of forming there, to be honest. But of course, at the moment, we are consolidating. So I wonder, are we consolidating for price to push the upside first, potentially form a lower high and then drop? Or are we consolidating just for price to take a bit of a breather and maybe drop to the downside? Because there was a lot of momentum initially. Now that's just kind of paused. They've gone flat. Maybe we go and collect some more sellers first before continuing in our journey there. Nice area of supply up there we could tap into. Or maybe we just continue falling. But either which way, I do think there's a good chance we come back into support around 0.84. At the moment, just a lot of consolidation. Afonso, still in silver. Do you think 34.23 take profit today? I'm still in silver as well. Is that you're talking about the swing high, right? 34.23, yeah, roughly there. Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. We almost did it with that candle or the current candle here in the 4 hour time frame. I mean, it's still live as well, so it might even do it on that candle. So yeah, I think there's a good chance we get there today. But again, if we get here today, if we get there today or tomorrow, it's not gonna make much of a difference. Of course, you might be paying a little bit of swap. But besides from that, it's whether it TPs today or TPs tomorrow. Yeah, we're not going to complain at that. I'm not taking profit there. I'll just look to trail my stop loss. My targets are back at the high there, so I've still got a bit of a way to go back to 35. But yeah, I do think we can get there. Momentum is looking pretty good. Really nice swing. The higher lows are very consistent as well. And the thing about silver is that pretty much all the higher time frames, daily, weekly, monthly, even, all very, very bullish markets, very, very bullish trends. So the odds of us getting back to swing highs, I would say, are pretty high. We just need the momentum to continue, that's all. Chance of us suddenly reversing here are pretty slim versus us continuing to the upside. So yeah, I would say there's a good chance we do hit that take profit today. But yeah, you don't want to try and force anything because if it doesn't hit today, it might hit tomorrow, it might hit the day after, which will be Monday. But yeah, I would say we're likely to get there, which is the key thing. Dargashon, Nas going to fill the gap sooner than expected. Is it looking pretty bearish? Okay, we are pushing down. Let's have a look on the lower time frames. Okay, 50-minute chart. Yeah, we did roll over there. Where is the gap? Let me move this out of the way. Okay, so the gap is there. So 19,775, that low there would be really nice because not only do we have the low of the gap, not only do we have the trend line, but we also got that support which price can manipulate and then push up as well. So I actually really like that area of confluence. If it could potentially wick through this or stab through this and then show some really strong signs of reversal, I think that would be a really nice buy to take for NAS. And you're positioned pretty well because it could be a swing all the way back to the high. I'm not too sure if you look for such a big trade there. I think even a push back to here looks pretty good as well. Of course, not as big risk to reward, but realistic chance of us getting there. If you target all the way up there, there's a lot of things that can happen before price gets there. And we can definitely turn around as well. But in terms of the location for buys, I think it's really, really solid. You've got a gap there looking to fill. You've got a nice trend line on the 4-hour chart. And I think overall, in general, price is likely to push up higher. We've got such a big level there on the daily chart, which I think there's a good chance of a retest of 2600. So if we are going to go test that, most likely we need to find some support at some stage and keep pushing up. And here's a nice time to find that as well. So yeah, I do agree with that. Darkshine, I think that's a nice place for a buy. It looks like the gaps are going to fill. And once they're filled, it could be a nice spring to take price higher. How's S&P shaping up as well? Are we doing the same thing? Yeah, it looks like we're doing the same thing. We've still got the gap there as well. And we're looking pretty bearish at the moment too. So again, yeah, price action looks pretty identical, to be honest. We could be doing something like that. Actually, yeah, go to the daily chart. Oh, in fairness, S&P has already respected that level, actually. I didn't see that. I thought S&P was still below the level. NAS looks like it's still below. NAS is still below the level, but S&P isn't. So I would rather buy NAS because NAS still hasn't tested that big level yet. So NAS, I would still have the expectation that price is likely to test that level. If I quickly go to NAS so you can see what I'm talking about. So this level here, I still think price is likely to see a push there. So I like taking the buys because my expectation is price is still going to pull back to test that area. Because S&P has already done that, the buys aren't looking as good. You can still see a move to the upside, but because we've got that selling pressure from that level, things are a little bit awkward there. If I whip out the 200 moving average as well, we kind of hit that on the dot there. Hit the 200 simultaneously with that level, which is always a nice little confluence. I'm still pretty bearish on the S&P as well. As long as we can hold this level of support, which is around 5,800, I do think S&P can make its way back down to the swing low here and potentially further. Of course, if you go and break through this and break to the upside, I'll stand corrected. S&P is looking bullish again. Corrections and continuations will be the plan from then onwards. But we have to do that first. We have to break above that resistance, which so far we failed to do that miserably yesterday with that bearish candle. So yeah, things are looking pretty bearish for S&P as a whole. Of course, we did see that happen as well with NAS, just not at the level. So I'd watch out for that. Darks from normally at enter on New York Open, looking for breakouts for resistance, breakouts of resistance and support, and hold for 10 to 30 minutes depending on volume. Okay. Interesting little tactic there. But yeah, I think the indices are naturally best. The US indices are naturally best to trade during the New York session. That's when they move the most. And yeah, if you capture it with the right volume as well, they can definitely break out and give you some nice swings. I think that's one of the big benefits of looking at the indices versus a lot of FX pairs is that indices are quite, I'll say they're a bit more volatile, just in general, the day-to-day price action, definitely intraday as well. Because you'll see a lot of swings on like FX pairs, but there won't be very big ranges. Whereas US 30, NAS, S&P will give you some decent ranges to work with. So you can get some decent risk reward positions. Of course, when I'm talking about the FX pairs, I'm normally talking about USD pairs like Euro USD or Pound. Pound Yen, you can see monster moves there. Gold, you can see monster moves there as well. And of course, gold's not really an FX pair. So yeah, that's definitely one of the benefits of the indices. But yeah, I like where we're positioned there for NAS. But this is something I'm keeping an eye on. How's the DAX doing? Okay, the DAX is just kind of stuck in that channel while we're breaking through. Now we're still stuck. So yeah, still stuck in that channel. Although surprisingly, we did go for a bit of a sell yesterday, which I wasn't expecting. But yeah, I am looking for something like this in the next probably week or two. To be honest, I'm looking for a bit of a pullback, especially if the US indices take a hit. I think the DAX will naturally follow suit a little bit, and we'll probably see some profit taking, well, not profit taking, but running out of buys at least, because the DAX has been flying to the upside, and well, I think we'll probably see some profit taking as well. But we are definitely due a bit of a pullback at some point, even just a minor correction, before we do continue. And I can see with how price is moving that we're seeing a lot of signs of exhaustion and fatigue. So the market is likely to pull back at some stage. Difficult to say exactly when, but when we see that break of that trend line, that to me will be the catalyst for a bigger pullback. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for the DAX. Scalper strategy, which is working really good. Okay, nice. You can get 1 to 5 restore in a few minutes. Wow. So yeah, that's one of the benefits of that volatileness from NAS. But yeah, 1 to 5 few minutes is pretty good. And that's the beauty. If you get the direction right and you've got enough juice in that move, then yeah, 1 to 5s is possible. And then we have a look at the FTSE. Okay, so we did see that sell then. So was it last week or this week? When was this? Tuesday 25th. Okay, that's 2 days ago. don't know why I thought that was last week. But yeah, not yesterday. Tuesday we we're talking about some sells about that double top because we had that break of structure over here. So nice swing, respected some resistance here on the left, turned support, nice move up, and then looking for a lower high. We've got the 200 as well. It's always a nice confluence for the indices. So looking for price to roll back over, perhaps come back and test support again. I think at least come back and test this range here. Nice tight knit range, beautiful break to the upside. Do you think price can at least come back and test that? Again, with the UK 100, we are still very bullish, but I do think we're going to come back into a bit of a consolidation phase. Typically, when price does have its breakouts, it is followed closely behind by a big consolidation, as we can see. I do think we're probably going to get something similar to that with the UK 100 pretty soon. But yeah, at the moment, shorts look pretty good. Shorts look pretty good. So overall, judging the indices to me, I think downside is looking likely here as a swing. And again, that downside might happen next week, not necessarily today. So yeah, not looking too good for the indices. How is BTC doing? If the indices, especially NAS, looking bearish, then it means that BTC might be looking bearish as well. In fairness, BTC is kind of just correctively moving higher, which is kind of what NAS has been doing in fairness as well, correctively pushing to the upside. That's what the US indices have been doing after that big drop past week or two. I still think we're likely to push back into support down here, which is 73, 74K. I'm still looking at a drop into that level, and then perhaps a nice longs from there as well. Take price back to the upside, at least back into 90K. Such a solid level of support will, of course, be flipped as resistance as well. So I do think naturally price will be gravitated towards that level. Is that the right word? Gravitated or gravitating? You guys know what I mean, towards that level there. So I think that'll be a nice place for a buy. I'm not quite banking on a push back to all-time highs just yet for Bitcoin. I feel like we might have a much deeper correction, maybe 50%, something like that. And 50% from 108K is roughly like 54K. So that could take us back to here roughly, which is not that big. It is in percentage terms, but only back to here is nothing too crazy. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Bitcoin. Ethereum, are we still respecting resistance as well? Looks like it, but I think the key takeaway with Ethereum is that we're still really corrective on the way up. So unless some crazy bullish momentum comes from somewhere, we're likely to just respect resistance and keep falling. And of course, we've broken out that counter trend line as well. So yeah, not looking too good. Not looking too good for the crypto markets. In terms of the C-Chef pairs, because I'm still trying to keep an eye on them for some longs, because I do think we can turn around. I was looking a lot at New Zealand C-Chef because we did have a big move to the downside yesterday. And I am looking for buys here for New Zealand C-Chef. There is some support on the left over here. There's price for Africa. If we go to the daily chart, you'll see it better. So there's some support here on the left, which I was looking for price to come back and retest and then buy from. We tried to break through this level a few times. We had a really strong move here. Price wicked through it, pushed to the upside. Another strong move. Did close below in fairness, but failed to really continue. A lot of wicks to the downside, a strong close back above. Then momentum took us to the upside and actually broke through the high here as well. And then I was looking for price to pull back, retest support, and then have a bit of a bounce, at least for a push back into resistance. So that's been my plan for New Zealand C-Chef. But unfortunately, as you can see, it's just hovering above my level and not quite getting there. And then yesterday we pulled back. So I was wondering, because we had a really strong move just before I hopped onto the stream. And I was wondering if we're going to push back down, go test my area, and then push up. But it looks like We've kind of just found support here, and price is just about to turn around. So I might be missing that move. Yeah, I mean, there's not much I can do because it's not really testing my level. I mean, again, sometimes I can adapt to different situations. If it's testing another level but doing it really well, I can jump into a trade here, but it hasn't really done that at all. I know it's form support, but that's more lower time frame support, rather than something a little bit stronger like this level here. But yeah, it looks like New Zealand CHF is likely to push to the upside. So I do think we can see some strength for the CHF pairs. CAD CHF, I feel like we can definitely see some strength for that pair. We saw a really big move to the downside, sweeping the all-time lows recently. So naturally, I do feel like we'll see some upside. At the moment, we're kind of stuck at some resistance, so you might kind of maneuver back and forth from there. But I do expect us to actually break through this. Reason being, we're coming from all-time lows, and there should be a pretty nice relief after that. Every time the market does make new all-time lows, it does kind of spike to the upside, as we can all see. So I do think we're due another one of these big moves, even back over there and back over there as well. So it's a pretty reoccurring pattern for CAD CHF, which is why I'm not really interested at all about selling from this level, because we might see a bit of a reaction, but I do think we'll eventually break through. So yeah, I think the bigger move be to the upside. Pound CHF had a nice retest this morning, though. I was keeping an eye on that one. It was a nice little retest. Just because Pound CHF has been so corrective, I decided not to really entertain the idea for a buy. In fairness, it's a solid daily level of resistance. You know, once, twice, a third time over there. We've had a breakout. Now it looks like price is successfully retesting it. So I do think Pound CHF can see a move back into resistance up there. Look at the 4-hour chart. We had a nice spike to the downside. That was in the early hours of the morning, and then a nice shift on the 4-hour chart and closed pretty bullish. So that did look like a nice opportunity to me. But I was like, pound CHF is just so corrective. It's a choppy pair. Risk to reward isn't anything crazy. So I'll kind of let price do its thing here. So far, looking pretty good. But I say that as we're approaching resistance, we'll see what price can do from there. We might smash straight through. We could provide another wick and come straight back down again. It's very, very difficult to judge this pair. But I like the entry because we kind of wicked just about through the low here as well, which adds to the confidence of the trade, especially when you're trading a choppy pair like this. It's always best to try and buy as low as possible or sell as high as possible, because you don't want to get caught in the kind of messy fluctuations. If you're selling as high as possible, then the odds of price kind of faking you out is pretty slim. If it does hit your stop loss, it's probably just breaking out anyway. So you don't want to be involved in a trade like that if the market is breaking out. That's kind of what happened here. We spiked to the low, of course, testing the daily support as well, but also taking up that wick low, and then price shifted and closed very strongly. So let's see if we can break that resistance. If we do, then yeah, 1.149 is likely to be hit as well, which is that area, and maybe further too. But it's just a very messy pair. So I was like, let me not stress myself and trade this pair. It is not worth the stress, because momentum looks good now, but you don't know if consolidation is going to continue, and then you spend 2 weeks just in this kind of chop. It can be frustrating sometimes. And okay, you'll be getting paid positive swaps here, so it wouldn't be that bad. If it was selling, it would be a lot worse. So yeah, that's pushed to the upside. Oz CHF, I'm still holding that position from a few weeks back now. Again, I'm just gonna let price do its thing. If it gets to my overall target, whoop-de-doo. If it does push against me, I do have a trading stop loss above the highs there. As I've said, I've already taken most of my profit at the low there, around 80%. So I'm not really too bothered about the remaining positions. The reason I do it is just to really try and maximize my wins as much as possible. So if it can hit targets, great. If not, it's not the worst day in the world. But yeah, we still do have a really solid level of support, which is now flips the resistance just above us here. So I feel like as long as we can respect that, then there is still that possibility for price to really sell off. If we do go and break that resistance and clear that level, then yeah, I'll probably am in a bit of trouble, and probably will get my remaining positions trailed out, but that's fine anyway, if it wants to do that. And then, of course, you got your lovely Euro CHF and CHF JPY. But CHF JPY I kind of look at it as a yen pair. But yeah, Euro CHF looks like it's trying to hold into this level. We did kind of break through in the lower time frames, but on the daily chart, it looks like we're still respecting. So you can see in the 4-hour chart, if I refine that, price did kind of break through the level there. But if I zoom out to the daily, it's still respecting, and that's an important thing to note. If the higher time frame is still respecting the level, don't try and follow the momentum in the lower time frames, because it's probably going to be a fake out. So in this situation, support still holding. We'll see how that daily candle closes, but a nice bullish engulfing candle is always a nice sign. I'm probably going to get at least 2 or 3 bullish days there for Euro Swiss, maybe even a push back to the high as well. Things look really, really nice. But yeah, very corrective behavior here on the way down. The break outside of that descending channel will probably give you a nice swing there for Euro CHF. So overall, it does look like CHF pairs got a bit of strength to them. At the moment, I do think it can last as well. Yeah, New Zealand CHF did look like a nice buy, but it just didn't quite fit to my plan and test the level I wanted to test, unfortunately. So just going to have to sit that one out, and maybe it comes back down. Never want to write off a trade completely, because there's always that chance it might come back and test it again. At the moment, not looking likely. So in terms of my watch list for the rest of the week, by the way, I will be live again later today. I do have a stream with Trader Nick on his channel, so we will chat and see what is going on with him, and of course discuss any news coming out as well. We do have GDP today. Almost forgot about that. We do have GDP for, is it CAD and USD or just USD? And CAD's tomorrow. Okay, GDP today for USD. Jobless claims as well. Wait. Yeah. GDP, jobless claims. Okay, CAD GDP is tomorrow. But yeah, we got some news for dollar today, so it could get interesting pretty quickly this afternoon. I am trading silver, so a weak dollar would help me out, but we'll see. We'll see if that happens. I am favored Euro Aussie. Yes, we can have a look at that. And I'll quickly wrap up with my watch list for the remainder of the week. Don't have too many pairs I'm looking at, to be honest. Well, I do, but not that are just about to set up for me to take a position. Might still a few days away. But yeah, Euro Aussie, I do have a bit of a bearish bias for this one. I'm looking for price to come back and test this resistance level at 1.68. Major swing high here. We spiked through that big pullback afterwards, spiked through it again. I do think we'll see a pullback afterwards, a pretty big one as well. And judging the lower time frames, we're starting to form some lower lows and lower highs. So I said, if we can get another pullback, that would be great. Form another lower high, just like we did over here, just like we did over there. Let's see if we can form it again, and at least a swing back to where we came from. Let's say if we pull back from here, that of course would be naturally a healthy place to target as support. The price swing low. You can always leave positions to run if you're looking for that bigger move. But yeah, the way I see it, Euro Aussie is likely to come back and test some levels it broke through, especially this 1.68 level. So I'm pretty bearish on Euro Aussie, expecting another retracement. And some pullbacks on the lower time frames. You can probably find a nice swing high to short and take advantage of that swing there. So yeah, pretty bearish in Euro Aussie. I'm looking at kind of similar expectations for a lot of the crosses here. So Euro NZD manipulated through that high there as well. Oh, Well, it hasn't really done that yet because it hasn't spiked below it. But I am looking for price to come a lot lower too and push back down, similar to what we had here. Spike through the high. What do? We sell right after. We spike through the high. I do think the market's going to sell as well, and it has been doing so far. So 1.854 is definitely a level I expect price to push into. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm looking for, those crosses. No problem, Yusuf. What's up? I'm doing good. Hope you're well. No problem, Lighton. Happy to help. So yeah, in terms of my watch list, I'm just going to manage Aussie CHF. Again, my stop loss is trail, so I'm just going to let price do its thing. I'll only look to trail it again when price goes and at least test the low. Doesn't necessarily have to make a new low, but at least test the low. Then I'll probably trade it underneath. Above that high there. Silver, we're going to manage that position. Nothing to do until we take out the swing high on the left. Momentum's looking pretty good at the moment, so that could be sooner than expected. But if we can take out the high, I'll probably start to trail my stop loss here. And my target's around 35. I won't be looking to take any profit until then, hopefully. What else? So yeah, the yen pairs, I'm just going to keep an eye on them. Pound yen, as that pushes high, I'm getting ready to short it. So 196, 196.5 are the areas I'm looking to sell that one. Euro yen, I'm looking for a bit of a double top with this one. So as we approach 164, that looks like a nice place for a short for me and a push back down. CAD JPY, keeping a close eye on this one as well. Anywhere in that zone on the daily chart, I do think a lower high could form. So that's what I said. I've got quite a few pairs on the watch list, but they're just not quite ready to be shorted yet. It might still be a few days out. CAD needs to get there first, react, set up nicely before I do take a sell. But I am looking at basically another lower high forming here for CAD Yen, roughly in this area here. So that's kind of what I'm keeping a close eye on. USD pairs, I'm just looking for pullbacks. So of course you got your lovely Euro USD. I'm liking the opportunities back here at 1.06 and also 1.05. Lovely breakout a couple of weeks back, and I'm just looking for a pullback back into some areas of support, demand to take the next swing. Hopefully catch that higher low and at least take it back into resistance up there, 1.095. Pound USD, same idea as well. I like the buys here too, 1.28, 1.27, swinging back into resistance. I think pound USD can go further, but I think just for a trade, keep it simple, back to the high there. As long as the risk reward looks good, I don't mind just calling it a day at that high, and I can always leave positions to run if I want to. But yeah, 1.28, 1.27 look really, really good. So I'm going to keep a close eye on the longs there as well. And New Zealand CAD as well. New Zealand CAD, I like the shorts. Couple levels I'm looking at. Either the retest of the high up there or the retest of this level here. Like I said, I need a little bit of a bigger breakout before I do get short on this level. But yeah, I'm looking for a pretty big swing here for New Zealand CAD. The idea is that we broke through the swing low here, having a bit of a correction afterwards, and now we'll likely see the continuation of that move and smash into support down here. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in terms of my watch list. Very, very bearish on New Zealand CAD, bullish in euro, bullish in pound, and very short buys on pretty much all the yen pairs. I just want them to come a little bit higher first. Looks like we've still got a bit more downside. And looking at the yen basket quickly, yeah, that's looking pretty bearish too. I mean, the 4-hour candle still hasn't closed yet, still an hour away, but support is breaking pretty hard there. And yeah, looking for around 6,500 for us to get to. So that probably will take the yen pairs a little bit higher initially. But yeah, guys, I will be live again with Trader Nick later today. So if you guys are free around, actually, if you're free in 45 minutes, the stream's in 45 minutes time because the clocks haven't gone forward yet in the UK. So it's an hour earlier for me. But yeah, I'll be live with him pretty soon, actually, in about 45 minutes on his channel. So if you're free, go pop over, say hi to Nick. and we'll chat FX. So if you guys are interested, make sure you're there. But I will be live again on my channel again tomorrow, same time as always, 10 a.m. between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, pop in, say hi, come and chat with us, and see what's going on in the markets. If you have enjoyed today's stream, guys, please be sure to smash the like button. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel, and of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. I do really appreciate everyone who likes the stream, subscribes. It does help grow the channel, so I do really appreciate that. But guys, appreciate you tuning in for another stream. Have a great day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, Matt. It's a date. Okay, we'll see you guys later. Take care.